We have a generation of kids that are swimming around in a toxic soup right now. We're betraying them. We're supposed to be taking care of our kids, and we're letting these industries corrupt our agencies and mass poison them. And, you know, nobody in the world has a chronic disease epidemic of the kind that we have in this country.
Yeah. There's no need to fear. The party of Planned Parenthood is here to protect the children. That's why AOC is, she's all... No, the Kennedy family is going to decimate community health centers. That's what's going to happen. And Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent. These are the normal attacks by the radical left-wing extremists that loot your neighborhoods, burn your police cars, carjack your mother. And what's the other standard line of attack for Democrats when they're going after their political enemies? Ah, yes. Find a woman somewhere to accuse you of something. E. Jean Carroll with Donald Trump. She can't remember what year she allegedly met him by the dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman department store in New York City, a very public place. But she doesn't know what year it was, and, you know, there's no record of anything. But that's okay. The Democrats, they bring it to court, and they turn it into a big political thing, right? And you may recall Clarence Thomas decades ago. They brought in a woman who, oh, no, I was so frightened. There was a Pepsi can. Amazing stories. The smears of Clarence Thomas. They brought in a woman who they turned into a fake hero when, in fact, she's no hero by any stretch of the imagination. You may recall now Supreme Court Justice, great Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And they found some woman who's so afraid of the world she has to have 2 front doors and she won't fly on airplanes. And she claims that in high school, Brett Kavanaugh was mean to her. But you remember how that resolved itself. One of the women that was at the party revealed that Brett Kavanaugh was handing out red Solo cups to people at a party in high school. And that, in the end, was what their indictment of Brett Kavanaugh boiled down to. Quite a remarkable moment that was. The Democrats love this, you know, finding a woman to accuse you of something. And now they've got an attack on Matt Gaetz, he was investigated for 2 years by the Justice Department. The Justice Department eventually dropped the case, said they had 2 witnesses, but they decided themselves that the witnesses were useless, not reliable, wouldn't bring him into court for anything. And honestly, you remember the attacks on Brett Kavanaugh went on forever and ever and ever, and the corrupt, filthy news media, while signing women to non-disclosure agreements all over the place at news organizations, they were just peddling the Democrat Party's line on this. And this woman, what was her name again? Oh, yeah, Julie Swetnick came forward. She's like, I was at that party with Brett Kavanaugh. Oh, and did you see Brett Kavanaugh do anything inappropriate?
Did you see Brett Kavanaugh, you know, spiking the punch, putting green alcohol in the punch?
I saw him giving red Solo cups to quite a few girls during that time frame, and there was green punch at those parties. And I would not take one of those glasses from Brett Kavanaugh, excuse me.
She doesn't know his name.
I saw him around the punch, I won't say bowls, or the punch containers. I don't know what he did, but I saw him buy them.
That was it. Buy them. Well, he didn't. His name is Mark. She doesn't know. And that's what that whole thing boiled down to. Well, in keeping with the Democrat Party's tradition, I have an update now, because the headline today is, you know, President Trump has nominated Pete Hegseth of Fox News to be the Secretary of the entire Department of Defense, and a soldier, a decorated soldier, and so on. And here's today's headline. New, they do love their colons. Pete Hegseth, sexual misconduct investigation confirmed by City of Monterey. This is the Democrat Party's playbook. It's the Soviet playbook, the Russian playbook. And this is it, and that's the headline. The radical left-wing extremist Mediaite, a communist front group. Secretary of Defense nominee and former Fox News host. Is he former? Former Fox News host Pete Hegseth was accused. He was accused, and that's good enough for the Democrats, was accused of and investigated for sexual assault in 2017. No criminal charges emerged from the investigation. President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense was investigated for sexual assault at a Hyatt Regency in Monterey, California on October 12th, 2017. The news media, aren't they amazing? Think of all the things they never found out about Joe Biden and Barack Obama, and the list goes on and on and on, that they never find out about anybody. But this is what they do when they really put their tiny little squirrel brains to it. A statement provided to Mediaite early Friday, that's today, by the public information officer for the city of Monterey reads in part, the city provides that information which is set forth below. 1. Date, time, location, occurrence between 10/7/2017, 23:59 hours, that's 1 minute before midnight, of course, and 10/8/2017, 0700 hours, so between midnight and 7 a.m. In October of 2017, at the Old Golf Course Road, and they provided this thing, name, age, victim, right, and confidential. Factual circumstances surrounding the incident. The Monterey police investigated an alleged sexual assault at 1 Old Golf Course Road. A general description of any injuries, property, or weapons involved. No weapons or property involved. Sure. Contusions to right thigh. The city of Monterey will not be making any other remarks related to this injury. So they have a report of someone with a bruise on a thigh, an unnamed person, in 2017 in Monterey, California. No names, and this is what the news media is publishing under the headline, Pete Hegseth sexual misconduct investigation confirmed by city of Monterey. I don't actually see the name Pete Hegseth or anything like that. So according to the statement, an incident occurred Old Golf Course Road and between midnight and 7 a.m., October 7, October 8, 2017. The victim's identity is confidential. Contusion to right thigh. Was there a golf course nearby? Because sometimes you get a golf ball can come by. So amazing stuff. Vanity Fair magazine's Gabriel Sherman reported an explosive piece on Thursday that the Trump transition held an emergency meeting with Hegseth after learning about the alleged years ago incident. In this. So what is the incident? Because I'm not sure what the incident is. But they're writing stories about it. And now the Democrats doing what the Democrats always do, the party of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, and the list goes on and on. They are claiming that they have an incident, but I haven't learned anything by reading about this. Isn't that amazing? But he's being accused now. Quite remarkable, because that's what they do. Also, the same radicals there at Mediaite about going after Matt Gaetz, Congressman Matt Gaetz, who is in line for a cabinet post, and that's all it takes for the Democrats to go after you. You want to name him as Attorney General because he was targeted by the Attorney General and the Justice Department in a phony investigation that went on for years and then was dropped. And guess what that was about? That was about sexual misconduct. He was, of course, vindicated when they dropped the investigation, said that their two witnesses, were not reliable and they wouldn't go to court with him. But never mind that. Now, the attack on Matt Gaetz, who, again, I've met. We're not old pals or anything, but he was on my TV show on Newsmax a couple of times, and I liked him. He was fun, easy to laugh, and having a good time. The headline today, it won't even be close. And as many as 30 Republican senators are reportedly no on Matt Gaetz. As many as 30 Republican senators requiring Senate confirmation are no on Matt Gaetz because the media, they're here to take you down if you're a Republican. That's their role. Now, you can be Hillary Clinton and everybody you've ever met died mysteriously, and that none of that ever comes up. But never mind that. Let's go to soundbite number 8, because on CNN, They've got Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Is he really a doctor, do you think? And they brought him on to attack Robert F. Kennedy Jr. because that's the mode they're in.
It's not often that the entire medical and public health community is going to be in lockstep on something, but they're pretty close on this in terms of their significant concerns, horror even. Somebody said to me today, I can't think of any single individual who'd be more damaging to public health than RFK.
Really? Okay. Well, that's your and that's Dr. Sanjay Gupta doing the work of the Democrat Party on CNN, which is doing the work of the Democrat Party. Aren't they amazing? Over on MSDNC, another Democrat Party front group, there are rumors that they may be put up for sale by Parent Corp. Their ratings dropped through the floor fairly recently. They're not a news organization. They're just a cable channel for Democrats in a hot tub to do what they do in hot tubs, honestly. But they brought on Dr. Kavita Patel to attack RFK Jr.
Their career staff texting me saying this was just the push they needed to try to get out. They were already on the fence and worried. So we're not just going to see this incredible kind of integration of ideology that has no science behind it. We're going to see probably the best of the best career staff leaving these agencies potentially hollow that he would oversee.
Yeah, hollow. They're going to be hollow because career bureaucrats see that someone, a lifelong Democrat member of the Kennedy family, with whom they may have disagreements on certain medical issues, will cause them to leave their careers and their jobs. And if that's the case, then you're welcome to leave as a taxpayer, a citizen, and someone that's been paying attention for longer than you. Just amazing stuff. And then they brought on a Democrat member of the House of Representatives, Jake, and I love this, Auchincloss. Jake Auchincloss, is he wanted by the War Crimes Tribunal? That's pretty. Jake Auchincloss, and he's a Democrat member of the House of Representatives because those are the only people that they talk to and listen to in liberal media land. Isn't that true? Yes, it is. And here's what the Democrat member of the House of Representatives had to say.
I'll just say RFK is a crank and a conspiracist who should be nowhere near HHS.
He's a crank and a conspiracist. He's a Democrat from Massachusetts, Jake Auchincloss. Pretty amazing stuff. Yes, sir. And then they also brought on the Democrat, another from Massachusetts, Catherine Clark. And they're all singing from the same sheet music.
I have great concerns for someone who has shown complete disregard for public health. Yeah,
he would tell you, and, I'm not his best friend, but he will tell you that he's dedicated his life to public health. And he went, and if he had, again, the Obama administration named him, they wanted to have him come in as a cabinet official, and the news media praised him as a star. And now look what happens, because the news media is just an engorged appendage of the Democrat Party. And Jake Tapper, a former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer who dated Monica Lewinsky only once, he's got his own TV show. What does he think about RFK? And it's always skin deep. Let's get out there and scratch that surface, as they say at CNN.
Well, America, I hope you like measles.
Well, America, I hope you like measles. That's what they're peddling now, because, RFK, he's anti-vaccine. Now, what did he actually say about his being anti-vaccine? Because we play that soundbite today.
I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccines. I've never been anti-vaccine. I'm going to make sure the scientific safety studies and efficacies are out there.
Yeah, well, that'd put an end to everything. But at CNN, Jake Tapper will tell you, well, I hope you like measles. Honestly. Just self-immolate. Your career has already been immolated, Jake. Your credibility has already been immolated, for the love of God. Football season is heating up. We had our Redskins on the TV last night, as a matter of fact. Not so good. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while you're watching football. With more than 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all of us. The app is incredibly easy to use, simple to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport. You pick more or you pick less on their projections, and you could win up to 100 times your money. Prize Picks even invented the Flex Play. Listen to this. With the Flex Play, you can still cash out if one of your picks doesn't hit. Come on. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code PLANTE, P-L-A-N-T-E, and you're going to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's right, the code PLANTE on Prize Picks. Get a $50 credit instantly. All you have to do is play $5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present, of course, in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for details and restrictions. Yes, sir. Yeah, the long knives are out, and this is a great demonstration for the kids around the house, for new voters. This is how corrupt the Democrat Party media industrial complex is. They are not truth tellers. They are political hacks and frauds.
Well, America, I hope you like measles.
The attacks. Madness, I tell you, madness. Here's one that I liked. The tragically failed Congressman Adam Kinzinger. And he was out there. He's an anti-Republican, and his mind is frazzled, and he's a CNN commentator. And Michael Piercy found this one. It's a fun one. He's a former member of the House of Representatives, a former Republican, and now a CNN analyst. And they're talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and what a threat he is to democracy or something. And listen to his historical. He wanted to provide historical context.
You were talking about this with things like vaccines, and I'm like, honestly, the Dark Ages, if they were alive, would be looking at this time period and going, you guys are losing your mind.
I'm sorry, the Dark Ages, if they were alive, they'd be looking at us and going, you guys are losing your mind? Is that what he said? Is that what the former congressman said? That's pretty amazing stuff. If the Dark Ages were alive, that'd be kind of weird, I've got to say.
Honestly, the Dark Ages, if they were alive, would be looking at this time period and going, you guys are losing your mind.
How could the Dark Ages be alive? I don't think he understands. I don't think he understands what he's talking about there. But they'll bring anybody on to say anything about RFK Jr., who was a member of the Democrat Kennedy family in good standing until not so long ago. Like Tulsi Gabbard, good standing. Well, of course, Hillary Clinton was accusing her of being a Russian spy. Projection, I assume. Yeah, so the long knives are out. The dogs have been loosed. The media, corrupt as they are attacking every Trump nominee or potential nominee. Everybody's a threat to public health and to democracy, and white supremacists and sexual predators. This is what the Democrat Party does. This is their playbook. And then they loot your neighborhood, burn police cars, smash out storefront windows, sack, loot, plunder, and then accuse you of being a Nazi while they chant from the river to the sea, Palestine will soon be free. You're a Democrat Party. They are unwell, very unwell. In New York City, there's a trial going on today because a former Marine tried to stop a crazy person on a subway train, and unfortunately, while he was trying to restrain the crazy person died. And so the Democrats are trying to give him 19 years in prison. They're trying to put him in prison for as long as they can because that's the Democrat Party. He became a political enemy when he fought against the crazy people on the street. The Democrats, they are the crazy people in the street. Just extraordinary stuff. Daniel Penny in New York City on trial. Democrats trying to give him 19 years. In Georgia, they're also going through the trial of the illegal alien that murdered young Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student in Georgia. The Democrats are on the side of the illegal alien murderer in Georgia, and they're not on the side of Laken Riley. The Democrats are on the side of the lunatic Neely on the subway train, and not Daniel Penny, who served in the Marine Corps and tried to prevent bad things from happening on the subway train, while Neely, the crazy person roaming the streets of New York, who shouldn't be roaming the streets of New York, Neely was screaming that he doesn't care if he spends the rest of his life in prison. He's going to get you. He's going to get you. And there are women, there are children, there are normal people on the subway train. Daniel Penny stepped in, Marine Corps, former Marine at that point, and tried to restrain the crazy person, Neely. And tragically, Neely died. He shouldn't have been loose on the streets to wander around and threaten to murder people and screaming about how he can't wait to spend the rest of his life in prison. But the Democrats are anti-Penny, the Marine, and pro-Neely, the crazy person. In Georgia, they're anti-Laken Riley, and they're pro-illegal alien Venezuelan gang member. That's your Democrat Party. And that's really not political hyperbole. That's established fact. Now, let's go to, because if you're nominated again, Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, now former Democrat member of the House of Representatives from Hawaii, a surfer. Met her once, only once, also at Newsmax. Shook her hand, talked to her for a little while. And honestly, they've got a Democrat congresswoman from Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, and she went on Morning Joke, which is just a filthy propaganda outlet. And what did she do? She attacked now former Democrat Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, U.S. Army officer, served in combat, unlike Tim Walz, and Abigail Spanberger went on Morning Joke on DNC TV to trash, amazingly, Tulsi Gabbard.
The choice of Tulsi Gabbard as DNI is not in the best interest of the American people. It's not in the best interest of our national security. This is so extraordinarily dangerous.
Dangerous. It's so dangerous. Everybody's dangerous, right? Pete Hegseth is dangerous. He's allegedly a white supremacist. This is what they're calling people now. Tulsi Gabbard, again, Democrat member of the House, Army officer, U.S. Army, and she is dangerous, according to Abigail Spanberger, who is a threat to our democracy. Abigail Spanberger must not stay in the House of Representatives. She has to be rejected. She has to be thrown up because she is a danger to Western civilization. This is the rhetoric that we use now, right? And this is standard stuff for the left. They're not liberals. They're the left. The Democrat Party is not on our side. A Democrat congressman by the name of Dan Goldman went on CNN, and he, too, is not a fan of anyone picked by Donald Trump, and in particular Pete Hegseth, who served honorably in Iraq and Afghanistan and at Guantanamo Bay, 2 Bronze Star medals as a U.S. Army officer. He went to Princeton, then he went to Harvard, and these are all the boxes you're supposed to check, right? But no, Congressman Dan Goldman.
Being a serviceman, it does not make you qualified to lead the Department of Defense and to have access to our nuclear weapons. I'm very disturbed by this. This guy is clearly a sycophant for Donald Trump.
You're clearly a moron. The Secretary of Defense doesn't have nuclear weapons in his closet at the Pentagon or something. They don't strap nuclear weapons beneath the airplane. The Secretary of Defense have access to our nuclear weapons. You are a moron, Dan. He's a New York Democrat, and he should be ejected from Congress because he's a threat to democracy. He's a threat to children. Keep him away. As I saw on the internet that he's a danger to children because of his sexual misconduct. It's right there on the internet. It's got to be true. They can't put stuff on the internet that's not true. That'd be misinformation, and Hillary would put you in prison. MSDNC then brought on a woman called Shirlene Eiffel. Shirlene Eiffel. Must be the sister of Gwen Eiffel, I'm thinking. To attack Pete Hegseth, Fox News anchorman on weekends and U.S. Army veteran.
Add the Secretary of Defense nominee, Peter Hegseth, the Fox News commentator as well, because this is someone who, weekend host, important distinction. This is someone who,
no, it's not.
Is known to be a white supremacist, known to be an extremist.
He's known to be a white supremacist, and he's known to be an extremist. You are a member of the KKK as a black woman. African-American woman, she is clearly a member of the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, he's known to be, and at MSNBC, they just nod, and they say yes. And that's if you get your news from MSNBC, everything you know is wrong. Quite extraordinary, I got to say. She's Gwen Eifel's cousin, former late journalist Gwen Eiffel. Cousin. But because her last name is Eiffel, they have her on MSDNC, and she calls people known white supremacists. And all over Twitter, Pete Hegseth has a tattoo on his chest. It's a large tattoo of a cross, a Christian cross. And you're not allowed to do that because that makes you a white supremacist. You see, he's a known white supremacist. When Sherlyn Eiffel says so on MSDNC, it must be true. A known white supremacist. This is what they do. This is the Democrat Party. Then they have a fake reporter at NBC by the name of Ken Delanian, and he's attacking Congressman Matt Gaetz, a Republican from the state of Florida, who also served in the state house in Florida. His father, lifetime elected politician in Florida. He's a lawyer, of course, and nominated by President Trump to become the Attorney General of the United States. He's a fun guy. Ken Delanian is a fake reporter at NBC.
The Attorney General sees the most sensitive intelligence in the government. He's threatening to blow up the department and has accused it of being corrupt. And there's a real fear inside the Justice Department that he or people like him would order investigations where there was no predicate, where there was no crime.
You mean like the investigation that was launched against him, against Congressman Matt Gaetz himself, where there was no crime, where the Justice Department investigated him for 2 years, forcing him to spend money on lawyers and time-consuming effort to disprove their false claims at the Justice Department? Ken Delanian, is that the person that you're talking about who's going to blow up? I was reminded immediately of Madonna saying on the Mall in Washington, D.C., that she's thought a lot about blowing up the White House at the big Democrat rally on the Mall the day after Election Day when Donald Trump was elected.
Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged.
She's outraged.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
She's thought a lot about blowing up the White House. There were no arrests, no convictions, no time in jail for any of that. That's fine. You can sever likenesses of Donald Trump's head. You can bring a guillotine to the White House and guillotine mock Donald Trump's. All of this is fine. Just amazing stuff. Man, oh, man. Then on CNN, they have the corrupt former Justice Department, former FBI official, Andrew McCabe. They pay him to come on and lie for the Democrat Party. And so that's what he does because it's a job, and he doesn't have his job at the FBI anymore. So isn't that amazing? And they got him on CNN to come on and attack Matt Gaetz because that's what the Democrat Party is doing. And he's a partisan political hack, Andrew McCabe. He's one of the people abusing power at the FBI and at the Justice Department. And then CNN hired him because they like the cut of his jib because, honestly, they should break away and create the Confederate States of America again. Andrew McCabe, disgraced former law enforcement official on the federal level.
Matt Gaetz is obviously wholly unqualified for this job. He's someone who, quite frankly, couldn't get hired by the FBI if he was, had he ever been interested in that, which I'm sure he never was. Probably couldn't qualify for a clearance.
That's another. I'm glad he mentioned that because, honestly, President Trump comes in and the new DNI and the new Attorney General. honestly need to pull security clearances from Andrew McCabe and John Brennan and Jeremy Bash and all of the 51 people that signed on to the felonious 51 letter, which lied to the American people, tampered in our presidential election, claiming that all the entirely accurate and correct reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop at the New York Post and beyond was Russian disinformation. All of those people need to have their security clearances pulled so that they can't get a job at the FBI or anyplace else. Now, this Barack Obama bootlick, Andrew McCabe, deputy director of the FBI, he's a crook, and CNN hired him because he's a crook, not in spite of the fact that he's a crook. He abused his powers, and on and on. Andrew McCabe, just amazing stuff on CNN.
He is singularly a disruptor.
That's
good.
He's
someone who's been selected because of his interest and desire to go into the organization and tear things apart.
Yeah.
Likely get rid of people, stop doing a lot of the work that the Justice Department is currently doing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you see, this Andrew McCabe, you little fascist, this is what happens when you fascists lose the election. And people come in that recognize there's a lot of corruption in the permanent bureaucracy at the Department of Justice and corruption in the permanent bureaucracy at the FBI, and he is a disruptor. I voted for disruption. Tens of millions of Americans voted for disruption. You are the cancer that needs to be removed from the government. You need to have your security clearance. Not you need that to lie at CNN. You can do that without a security clearance. Isn't that amazing? And Andrew McCabe, crooked former FBI.
We spent a lot of months debating whether or not Donald Trump actually means the things he says about the Department of Justice and the FBI, whether he's actually going to try to really dismantle those organizations in a serious way. I think the selection of Matt Gaetz is a clear indication of how squarely he intends to do that.
Dismantle is an idiot word, and you're an idiot, and just amazing stuff. You're a crook, and you're defending a crooked bureaucracy, the permanent bureaucracy, the deep state, which we have seen demonstrated again and again, has been abused by the Democrat Party and the left to attack political enemies. And you are a Tuma. Not a Tuma? He's a Tuma. Honestly, you are the bad guy, and we don't need you. Let's see. Just completely crazy. Crazy man, crazy. I can't believe how little time there is left and how much we still have to get to. Poor me. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here. It builds on the incredible success of previous generations of Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifiers. Thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. Works like a great, it's a bestseller. Amazing. This new Thunderstorm has two technologies that studies have proven help to quickly kill up to 99.9% of bacteria in the air in your home and your office, viruses, dust, pet dander, smoke, and more. Helps get rid of any odor and no filters to buy and replace again and again. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky, smelly odor from trash cans, from smoke, from left-wing protesters. Just disappear in a few seconds with the Thunderstorm being on. And right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. Put one in your basement, your bedroom, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code Chris3, Chris and the number 3, to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris3. Yes, sir. All right, very little time to get to all the things we want to get to. What will we be able to pack in before we wrap up for this amazing week? It has been an amazing week. There are stories all over the place that the Biden administration is rushing in a big, mad hurry to spend billions and billions of dollars that's just sitting there waiting to be distributed to their friends and allies, crazy left-wing causes. So that's their plan now. Sylvester Stallone of Rocky fame, was at Mar-a-Lago last night with President Trump, and he thinks very highly of President Trump.
We are in the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off, so I'm in awe. And I'll just say this, and I mean it. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations!
Well, the praise doesn't get much higher than that, I've got to say. Now, he'll be attacked ruthlessly by the mob, too. I don't have a ton of time, but I see on the board that I want to talk to Hugh in Germantown, Maryland, who has an amazing story related to what we were just talking about with Daniel Penny's trial in New York involving the death of Jordan Neely. Hugh.
Chris, good morning. Very, very quickly, my son is a newly minted Marine. He's going through, and I'll use the Army terms because I'm not sure of the Marine terminology. He's preparing for his advanced individual training for his military occupation specialty. Like all good Marines, while he's waiting, his commanders and directing staff are having them hold their Marine infantry skills. And part of that is to close with and kill the enemy using hand-to-hand combat techniques. They have been briefed very clearly that on no account are they to use any of those skills in defense of another person outside of a combat zone. They are allowed to protect their comrades, fellow Marines, but if you are looking and hoping that someday that clean-cut young man of any race who carries himself like a Marine is going to step in to help you, should you be accosted or assaulted by whomever, think again. That ain't happening.
Because of the Daniel Penny case and the public lynching, and they don't want more Marines to get in trouble.
Exactly. I don't know that for certain. My son is, as I say, he's a young man, young Marine, doesn't pay enough attention to the news, never heard of Daniel Penny, but he thought it kind of strange that they were absolutely told, do not use any of this on civilians in any circumstances except to protect yourselves and fellow Marines.
Well, we can put one and one together and come to the correct conclusion. Hugh, thank you for that story. God bless America. God save us all. Have a great American weekend.